Kara, while we have you, I also want to get your take on a new California bill that could impact food delivery platforms like DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats. The law would require third-party delivery platforms to have stated agreements in place with merchants to deliver food orders starting as soon as January 1st. Now, it's called non-partner delivery. It's been a controversial practice, right? But probably benefited DoorDash most, right? So does it hurt DoorDash the most, or does it hurt all of them?
Well, it depends on who's doing it. Grubhub was doing more partnerships. Uber was doing more than that. DoorDash was doing less of those. You know, this is a real issue coming forward. And you can complain all you want about different California laws, but they're leading the forefront of the idea of this has to be an equitable way these things are done. And given how hard restaurants have been hit in the pandemic, you know, bad economic deals around delivery is not the greatest thing. And so there should be, these companies should do the hard work of doing partnerships with restaurants. I mean, I'm on the restaurant side on this, even though I use delivery. I think nobody wants people to be forced into a bad economic situation like this without having some sort of discussion. I mean, we just talked about it with Hollywood. That's the thing. These things all have to be, the economics of this, which is where everything is headed, has to be sorted out. So all the parties are happy and also consumers are happy. And I think a lot of these companies are, Scott Galloway on Pivot calls them the menace economy. And, you know, they take advantage of the drivers, they take advantage of the restaurants, and it's all for the good of stockholders and, you know, the DoorDash people, but it's not necessarily good for everybody else in the ecosystem. So it has to be sorted out. And if it's done by regulation, that's the way it's done.
And it's a good point. And Kara, investors have kind of shown that they're willing to accept these huge losses. But, you know, when you talk about restaurants, certainly they need the help. They've been protected in a bunch of cities by these commission caps. There was a good article in the Journal this morning about Instacart. And, you know, it's been an important partner to grocery stores throughout the pandemic. But their commission can be as high as 10%. Do you think that this is potentially where regulators look next?
These are the businesses with very tight margins. I covered grocery stores for years, and I forget it was 1 or 2%. It's an incredibly hard business, and you have to have really great execution. And when you lard on this extra payment, you know, these companies, these grocery stores have a hard time doing it themselves, but maybe they should have the option. I think it's just a question of whether they're forced into doing a bad economic deal or not. And I think that's really going to be the story of the next couple of years as whether it's delivery, whether it's movies, whether it's anything else, is how do you sort out the economics of this? And then how do you provide consumers with a great experience? And at the same time, there are other stakeholders like the workers who deliver. And again, I've talked about these workers as, you know, we call them essential workers. They're really sacrificial workers, aren't they? You know, they sort of are putting themselves in harm's way for our benefit, for consumers' benefit. And so it all has to be rethought. And that's not a bad thing, but obviously these are the trends going forward. And so we have to think really hard that one group doesn't get taken advantage of over the other. And at the same time, they're great services. So that's what really has to be sorted out.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.